And we are live, right? So today, let's get this right because I actually, again, don't know what day it is. October. We're in October. Monday, the 2nd of October. It's my time is 6:20 in the evening, but your time right now is what, 1:20?
No, 11 o'clock.
Oh my God, it is
11
o'clock.
11
It
a.m.
was 1 o'clock last night when we were speaking.
Yeah.
So, right. Just going to wait a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Right, excellent. We've got people coming on. And now StreamYard is working again. I'm able to see comments. So, yeah, how is everybody? Good evening. Right, I'm here with a gentleman that I started speaking to and his wife. Am I right? Your partner, your wife?
Yeah, Wanda, yes.
Wanda, right. Wanda. So I'm here with these two lovely man and woman. Dallas, his name's Dallas, and Wanda, and I began speaking to them last night, and they were so interesting, very, very interesting people, and I just thought everybody should listen to them. So we're going to have a conversation. Doesn't mean everyone needs to agree, but I think it's good to talk, as always. Thank you, Saskia. So good evening, everyone. Right, so Dallas, you're in, I just got this wrong. I said Canada, but you're not. You're in Alberta. And then before you began to give me a bit of history on Alberta, I said, right, okay, you can let everybody know. So let's go for it. You're in Alberta, and it's not Canada, but it's Canada.
It's a province.
No, it's a province, right? Okay.
It's like Arizona. It's like Nevada. They're republics, right? Everybody thinks that Canada is a country. It's not a country. It's a corporation owned by the globalists. Alberta, BC, so British Columbia, BC, Alberta. BC has its own driver's license. Arizona, you have your own driver's license. They're republics. The United States is a corporation that's hijacked the sovereignty of the people of the republics. The republics have constitutions. The United States Constitution is written by the parasites to steal and rob and pillage. Same as the Corporation of Canada. Canada's just a business. Its business is raping and pillaging and killing. And most of the people in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba have been learning this slowly over the last, 50 years. Many knew before us, previous years. But the most important thing we talked about yesterday was sovereignty.
Yeah. So would you say that the UK is also a corporation?
Yes, it is. United Kingdom is a corporation. So is Australia is a corporation. There's 6 provinces and 2 territories or they call them states now, in the corporation of Australia. The corporations, I always say this to you, the corporations are prisons. So Canada's a prison. They imprison people, and same as the United Kingdom, and you've got these fake kings, these fake queens and barons and stuff like this. But what always interested me about you was your Laura was your in depth to look at things and different ideas. When I talked to your husband yesterday, Jay, I mean, the guy's brilliant. and it's good to see people that are brilliant. I mean, I've watched you for quite a while with your live streams, and yesterday, you had the other gentleman come on there, and that excited me, right? It really excited me because he was asking things, and I went, wow, this guy's pretty intelligent too.
You're talking about Mick, by the way. You're talking about Mick Chaves, who I was on a live with. Yeah.
One that wants me to do a live with him to get him on there with all of us together talking. But what's important is, you're calling out the controlled opposition, the people that have caused distractions, and they're doing the same thing in the Corporation of Canada. They're doing the same thing in the Corporation of the United States. You got John F. Kennedy bullshit assassination, never happened. You got Princess Diana bullshit, death assassination, never happened.
That's a very big statement that the John F. didn't happen. So why would you say it didn't happen? What's your reason behind that?
Well, it was all staged. It's sort of like, you have to, if you look at the Matrix, how the globalists have created the Matrix, you got judges that are all Masonic Lodge members. You got the lawyers, which are BAR turned or creditors. They've created such a massive display of the moon landing. You'd have to be an idiot now to understand we never landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong didn't land on the moon. We all know that. Anybody that can't
Buzz admitted it. Buzz Aldridge admitted it to that little girl. We never went there.
NASA, NASA one time they said we lost all the information how we landed on the moon. We just can't get it back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so with John F. Kennedy, you have to understand the Kennedy family. The Kennedy family is the kings and queens of New England. New England, not England over there on your part of your continent that you guys reside on. This is right in the United States. It's called New England.
New
They're
England.
the kings. If I was a Kennedy, I wouldn't be flying a plane. I'd be terrified to fly a plane. How many Kennedys get crashed in a plane? It's ridiculous. It's all a psyop. They want emotion. It's sort of like the residential school system. Orange 33 running around with the orange. They want to excite emotion, stress, anger, hate, so they can keep you preoccupied. You did this to my family 500 years ago, 400 years ago, 300 years ago. This has been going on for years. And but the most important thing is we talked about yesterday was you are a sovereign man or woman. There's no other source out there. There's no other source out there. The government cannot be your government because you are the government, and you have to be the government.
Yeah.
And that's so important. A lot of people still think that these MLAs or MPs over in Europe, you guys got the Labour Party, what have you, these parasites, right? And it doesn't matter if you vote left or right. If you vote, you're giving your consent away to a foreign corporation. And like I said yesterday, the biggest thing was this. As soon as you vote, you just told them that you're an idiot. You can't represent yourself. And they like that. They want you to vote. They got to maintain that voting population so they can control the slaves, the peasants, us, the slaves and peasants.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get past that boundary and understand they're all fiction.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's all an illusion, isn't it? And democracy is the biggest illusion out there to make you think that your vote counts.
Well, democracy is a lie. Even John Adams, the founder of the real Constitution of the United States, it was a contract, how they're going to govern themselves with respect to each other. John Adams says, I want a republic, not China Republic. If you follow me, a republic, a natural law republic, where the people are equal bounded, equal trusted, and also responsibility, and also natural law. Natural law states you bring harm to somebody else, well, guess what? You're going to be accountable to the people. Under this system that they created, they're not accountable. Yeah, they can murder, rape, pillage, create wars, kill, starve people, force people to have the injection of this thing called whatever you want to call it, the poison injection, whatever. Is that freedom?
No.
No.
So when you say about the Constitution, let's get one thing right. Are you talking about, like, for instance, in the UK, we've got the Bill of Rights, the Magna Carta, the things like that?
The United Kingdom. So I have a website. It's called constitutionalconventions.ca. If you want to drop in the link there. On the front page, there's a video called from Fred Rodell. And Fred Rodell was a lawyer who found out that being a lawyer was a liar and a con and a thief.
Yeah.
So lawyers are BAR turned or are creditors or are turned, but they work for the Crown Corporation. And I mean, it was funny yesterday. Somebody mentioned the Magna Carta in your room. The Magna Carta is the most deceivable thing. So a lot of people run going, "Oh, the Magna Carta." The Magna Carta states exact words. It only represents or protects the kings, the queens, the nobles, not you, and not you.
Some would say that that's not true, but you send your oath to the barons, which is something that I've always been a bit unsure about. But then if the barons don't act on your behalf, then you have the right to a lawful rebellion. But then surely we have the right to that anyway without needing barons.
Well,
that's right. You have to get a right from a baron. That just tells you you're not free. The rights are what you're born with, your living rights, and they're what you defend. Your rights are what you defend, not no other man can give them to you or take them away.
Well, why do we need kings and queens and barons and bishops to protect our rights on the land?
Yeah.
That's right. So
Well, I've always wondered that. Why do we do that? Why do we argue? Why do we argue about the 1215 Magna Carta or the 1688 Bill of Rights or the 1700 Acts of Settlements when we weren't there and they applied to different times, not our time?
So
yeah, because they keep us as children.
Yeah.
You know, we needed somebody superior to us to take care of us. Yeah. They're like our babysitters.
And how do we even know that that history is true?
Yeah, we don't.
No, we don't know it's true. You know what? But we know one thing's true. We were born free individuals, men and women, and nobody can tell us what to do. The Creator created you. And, you know, I don't like using the Bible. I like to use the fact that we were created, and we were created by our mother and our father, and we were created to be free, independent thinkers, and we are our own boss. We were also taught at an early age to listen to your parents because they have more knowledge. They've taken that away from everybody. Now you send your kids to prison. You know, I'm gonna send my kid to prison next week. 5 years old.
And I'm so happy about it. I'm going to take his picture. He's only 4 years old. He's going to pack a lunch, and the state is going to then raise him. They'll have him for the majority of his waking hours and the majority of the year. And it's an indoctrination camp. And the most foolish thing you can do with your offspring is to give them to the state, who will train them to hate you in the end.
Absolutely. So you guys, you've been on this for a very long time. You've been very awake from very young, haven't you, because of your upbringing?
Yes, right away. I knew it was all fiction right from day one. Like I said, I got kicked out of kindergarten the first day. Right.
Yeah.
I got up and left the room and went to the washroom. Came back, and the teacher said, "Where'd you go?" I said, "Went to the washroom." She said, "You have to ask permission." I said, "Ask permission to go to the washroom? Are you nuts? You don't ask permission to go to the washroom at home." And then 10:30, she wanted me to have a nap and have some milk and some cookies. And I said, "That's enough of this shit. I'm out of here."
How old was you? 4?
Well, it's ridiculous.
There was no junior kindergarten then, I don't think.
5.
Yeah.
5. Yeah. But you see, that's because you had strong, your older generation. Did you say your grandfather was very close to you and taught you a lot? Which is, the older generation, which is now sadly not many, none in existence anymore, the ones that really knew what was going on. So you started on your path, which by being quite awake.
Well, the bigger thing what really woke me up was in 1980. I'm sitting there one day. We're all multimillionaires. You know, I was living in British Columbia. Everybody's a millionaire. You went to work. You did your job, and guess what? You bought all your food. You had tons of cash still in the bank. Your life was good. Everything was fine in 1980. Bang! Overnight, interest rates went to 21.4%. Some places 26%, and everybody lost their homes, their houses. And I'm going, what the hell happened? Yesterday, we're all living high on the hog, enjoying life. And I started doing research. That's what really woke me up. And I went, they had this globalist called Pierre Elliott Trudeau that worked for the Corporation of Canada. People call them prime ministers, but they're called crime ministers. Crime ministers. So he removed our public bank that was owned by the people. So we printed our money at 0% interest to everybody. So the money would circulate through the economy. I'll give you an example. In 1971, we borrowed, I think it was about 23 billion bucks to ourselves. The entire thing called the Corporation of Canada. Back then it was called Canada. And we borrowed $23 billion. We paid off to ourselves in a circle motion. They go around in a circle. Next year, Quebec needed $5 billion. They just borrow $5 billion for the people, and they just circle through the economy. BC needed $1.2 billion. They borrow it, circle through the economy. Bang! Pierre Elliott Trudeau, this new globalist parasite, communist, what do you want to call him? He's selected by the Bilderberg Group. He comes Jesuit. He comes in, removes the function of the Bank of Canada, and borrows $37 billion off of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a private bank in the corporation of the United States, right? Federal Reserve. Most people understand the Federal Reserve nowadays. Hopefully,
Yep.
hope so.
Yep.
So they paid $37 billion in 1974. In 1980, we got to pay back this $37 billion, which is fine. We'll pay it back. We borrowed $37 billion. But no, the interest was $566 billion. Well,
how's that ever going to happen?
It's not
going to happen. We couldn't pay it back. So they did this deliberately and intentionally. So I went on a mass, education thing and talked about that. Talked about, fluoride in water with Chris Gupta when I went across the country of Alberta, the country of BC, the country of Saskatchewan, the country of Manitoba, or the nations. We'll call them nations, right? And educated them as much as possible. A lot of people looked at me like I was nuts back then. Going, fluoride's good for you. It's good for your teeth. It's for the poor people.
Yeah. Fluoride. Yeah. So you were doing your rounds educating people to inform, obviously, of what was going on. And I can imagine you were classed as a complete crazy man.
100%. But a lot of people did listen. So that was beneficial. Even my local town. So we created we had Roslyn Trail and so there was 4 towns: Roslyn Trail, Castlegar, and one more. We had 4 towns. So we went direct democracy in those 4 towns where we controlled everything. So the mayors were elected, not selected like the parasites we got nowadays. They were elected, and guess what? They were accountable to the people. We make decisions. Had a referendum in the town. Everything was decided by the people. A direct democracy was a great idea. We thought we could push direct democracy into our nation of British Columbia. So we got direct democracy implemented 87%. But the the lieutenant governor vetoed it. And I said, well, how can the lieutenant governor veto what we want? And then I started really looking into the corporation, like more and more, right? So I found out, so every province has a lieutenant governor, and a governor general is the parasite that sits in Ottawa. The governor general appoints the Supreme Court of Canada. The lieutenant governors, they appoint the supreme parasites of the courts in every province. And I said, well, that's kind of strange. I'm being polite right now. Strange.
Yeah.
And as you go down the path, and I see I see a lot of people out there beginning to wake up, become more understanding, and then more comprehending what we're facing in this nightmare of this world. And I see a lot of people going for equity and UCC and common law. And the common law I always laughed my ass off about common law. I said, you're going to walk into a courtroom of the Masonic Jesuits and ask them to stop killing you and raping you and pillaging you with a thing called common law. And most people go, well, common law was created for the common man. No, common law was created by the British monarchy in 1666. The next day, 1666, too. And it was to control and hold the people as slaves. You never have justice in their criminal cabal. And you got equity. Cal Washington, I worked for Cal for over 20 years. I just did a presentation about a month ago with Cal. Cal is on the right direction. Cal's educating people about the straw man, etc., etc. Most of you probably understand the straw man, how you're enslaved by that straw man.
Your legal fiction.
Your legal fiction. So now how do we fix it? So how the remedy, how do we get away from this? Well, we have to create our own system and make their system become obsolete. And you talked about not paying taxes yesterday. Well, most of us, a lot of people in the Corporation of Canada do not pay taxes. We refuse to pay taxes, and they can't force us to pay taxes. We know it's different in the United Kingdom. We know it's different in the Australia, the continent of Australia, because they have a different mechanism. The Corporation of Canada and the Corporation of the United States both do not have constitutions.
Yeah.
Sorry. United Kingdom, you have the Magna Carta. You under the Magna Carta, and it's such a ridiculous thing. How could somebody create a contract 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago that applies to you now?
Yeah,
it's a dead document.
It's a dead document.
The contract has to be a living document with 2 wet ink signatures, and otherwise there's no contract. We've never signed a contract with anybody giving away all our rights and telling them they can lead us and tell us what to do and take our income and all of that kind of thing. Also wanted to point out, when you're talking about Governor General and Lieutenant Governor General, that these are all military terms, and why, it should be, very suspect. And in the US, United States, it's the same thing. They have the state governors. And it takes you to a Frank Zappa quote, who says that government is the entertainment division of the military industrial complex. So you can see that clearly. We have a surgeon general and I'm forgetting all my generals now on the spot. But these things come, the attorney general and throughout, all our different systems.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you say that, because I remember touching yesterday with you about Constitution, the American Constitution, and you said there is no Constitution in America.
No, there was a contract. So the first president of the first president was John Hanson, and he was a black fella, and he was the first president of the Congress. They had 1-year terms, and then when the Masonic Jesuits got in there, like George Washington, they created a thing called the United States Constitution. It says we the people, for the people, of the people. They changed it all, right? So it only applies to them. So it's a contract with the Jesuits, how they're gonna enslave the peasants. A lot of Americans keep jumping up and down going, "Oh, we have a constitution. How's it working for you?"
Yeah. How is it?
Hey, and the Bill of Rights.
Here.
If you look at our what Fred Rodell said about the Bill of Rights. I remember when they brought in the Bilderberg Group member Diefenbaker in 1960 to bring out the Bill of Rights, the Canadian Bill of Rights. So Diefenbaker is sitting there and what's his name there? Fred Rodell says, it's good that you brought that up, he says, because in the United States Constitution, we have a Bill of Rights. It's added to the Bill of Rights, which is amazing. And he says, now the Canadian are going to have a Bill of Rights. But I'm going to ask, he says, who decides the Bill of Rights?
Yeah.
Their system decides it?
Yeah.
The Bill of Rights removed your rights. As soon as the government decided they can give you rights or privileges, it's like traveling.
Oh.
I used to get up and drive our tractors and all kinds of stuff, and all of a sudden you have to get a driver's license. Who brought that into effect? I got to pay to do something that's naturally mine? Don't get me wrong. Do I want people that are competent of driving and flying up, operating machines, helicopters? Yes, we do. We want, but we don't need a license. I don't need a license. I mean, I've been trying to get a license so I can license to kill. They won't send me one. I'm trying to get that one for a long time.
But, the thing is, you're right, ultimately, because, people should be taking self-responsibility. And if you can't do something, you go and learn how to do it. So you do it to the best of your ability, so it doesn't cause harm, injury, and loss. Yeah. And I can understand that maybe we need a system of maybe people teaching you how to read signs, use the roads, because obviously we've been congregated, not overpopulated, into these roads and cities. So we all need to learn how to because apparently there's an ever-growing population of overpopulation in the world, but it's not, like I said, congregated. But so, there is a system of being sensible. But again, why are we paying if we go 5 miles an hour over the limit? Why are we being fined for that when there is no harm, injury, and loss?
It's all scam. It's just usury. It's like, so the thing about this is what makes the Corporation of Canada different than the United Kingdom and all those other areas, nations. We'll call them nations for now. Canada, during they had Upper and Lower Canada. There were some bargains with the Queen Victoria before she died in 1901. It was all trade deals. Even the Jay Treaty, they called this thing the Jay Treaty, with they signed with the Mohawk Nation. Well, did the Mohawk Nation at that time speak the language? No. Did the Mohawk Nation have a clue about land entitlement? No. As far as they're concerned, the land belongs to everybody freely. Everybody operated their business each day, looked after, cared for it. But the globalists, they had a different plan. to steal the land. So they did it for years. So, they think they created this thing called the British North American Act, and they called it a constitution. So then, during the 1930s and 31s, they're running into trouble. They didn't have the authority to govern anybody. So they went along with a fiction. They kept creating more things. So the Westminster Act was created, another fiction. In 1947, there's a guy named Lyon Mackenzie.
Yeah.
He was the next prime minister of the Corporation of Canada. So he forged a letter of patent. Just forged it, make it look good. I'm the new prime minister. No election, nothing happens. It just happens, right?
That's
And
happened here.
So people didn't really pay attention because people didn't care because they're still free. They're running around. I mean, some guy in Ottawa is doing something in Ottawa. Well, the land mass of this thing called Canada is very large, very large. It's 6,800 miles across. That's just from Vancouver to Nova Scotia. Okay, 6,800 miles. Now, if you look at the mass going to Newfoundland or Labrador, well, let's add on another 4,000. Okay, it's very large. I don't people understand. So we're scattered from BC all the way across to Sydney. There's only about 400,000 people living in Newfoundland. BC is the same thing. Very small population. Saskatchewan is like you can take Saskatchewan. It would go from Italy to Switzerland in just height alone. Okay, and then the width. Saskatchewan only has maybe about 1 million people. Manitoba has 1 million people. So we're such a drastic mass span. So during these days of the 1930s and 40s and 50s and 60s, we really had no communication with people in Newfoundland. Yeah, we had CBC, which played nothing but garbage anyway, so no one turned it on. But we didn't really know what was happening in Ottawa, and people probably from Ottawa didn't have no clue what was happening in British Columbia or Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. It started changing during the 70s. And that's when we started really noticing, the criminal cabal. So they're running into problems. So we were questioning it. So the Western provinces, the Western nations were going, why does Ottawa have the authority? So then Trudeau came in and he repatriated the Constitutional Act. Got this fake queen come over and she signed there and made it all look good, like she's some kind of professional, to sign this paper. I said, are you an idiot? How come if we're a country in 1867, in 1913 if we were a country, 47 we were a country, why do we have to get a queen to come over to tell everybody that we're a country in 1982?
Yeah.
And people didn't pick up on it. So it's all fraud. They've never had the right they have never had the right to govern us. They're all criminals, and they all need to be locked up and put in jail until a grand jury. That's what we're working for over here.
You're working to get a grand jury.
Yeah.
Now you're right.
Yeah. Well, they have no authority. The more people wake up, the more people comprehend this. We don't have to pay taxes. These resources belong to us. All this nonsense about building pipelines across the Corporation of Canada. Why do we want to build a pipeline? We build our own refineries. We all have free fuel, free natural gas.
Our governments are selling our natural resources to countries abroad, that are the entitlement of the people that live on the land. So Alberta used to have coal generating plants for electricity, and then they've gone to solar and wind and discovered, as everyone predicted, that they're not going to work. And we get very cold winters, 40 below, and our coal is being sold off to China and India and that kind of thing. We had the largest supply of a very clean burning natural coal, and it's sold out without any consultation with the people. And, if that's the way they want to go. So our electrical prices will go sky high. And
so what they've done is they've privatized everything, incorporated everything, and then they've started doing business like we're seeing now with each other, different countries, and taking the people's natural resources of the country, selling it abroad for more money and depriving the people whose it belongs to in the first place.
Well, it's like this here. So it's kind of funny. I mean, Alberta has oil, right?
Right.
It's been recognized as the third largest oil producer in the world. Okay. Saskatchewan is higher, has more oil than Alberta. BC has natural gas, it just flows all the time. So they're stealing our stuff, shipping it over to here from A to B and B to C, and then shipping it back to us. We take all of our
Refine
oil.
it abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
We
take all
don't
of our
build our
oil.
own refineries.
Take all of our oil and ship it down to Texas. That's the Rothschilds, right? The Rothschilds, it's Standard Oil Field.
Yeah.
They ship oil, then they ship all our oil back. BC, I can tell you something now. BC has trees. Did you know that? Logging trees, like huge trees.
Yeah.
We don't manufacture here. We don't make 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s, 2x10s, 2x12s anymore. We chop the trees down, ship them to a foreign country, for a foreign corporation, not a country, foreign corporation. They ship them back to us. We have a mill here. It's a super mill outside of Edson, right in northern Alberta. One of the largest manufacturing of wood products in the world. We can't even buy a 2x4 there.
Because they ship it. Yeah, they ship it. I remember Australia doing something similar many years back. They had a they obviously, you know, they get all these wildfires and all the banana crops were destroyed. And because I've got family in Australia, well, this particular year, they were selling the bananas overseas, but to them there, because they didn't want to sell it to them, they were making more money abroad. They were selling them at like a ridiculous amounts per kilo. I think it worked out about £18 per kilo in British money. It was ridiculous because they make more money shipping them abroad, or they need to continue doing business with people abroad so that and deprive the locals, the you know.
Yeah. Well, BC,
So
used to call BC, British Columbia used to be called BC fruits. We have an Okanagan, so our temperatures in BC are 44, 50 degrees Celsius, right? 52 sometimes. It's very warm climate, right? A lot of people misled about British Columbia. So we have the Okanagan, which produces mass amounts of fruit. You got cherries, berries, you name it. Any fruit that you think you have, peaches, it's beautiful. And we grow them there, but we're shipping apples in from California.
that's crazy.
No, they made it this way. They want the shipping. The Teamsters, the truckers aren't heroes. Truckers are used as pawns to enslave the people. Every town needs to be self-sufficient like it used to be. So you had your town, you had your
sawmill.
You had your sawmills, you had barbers, you had cows. We had orchards, dairies and orchards of food everywhere. The globalists removed that, and our grandfathers and our forefathers were fighting that back then, but there was no communication. They didn't have the skills that we have now.
Yep.
The internet has been a very powerful tool. We had the TV for quite a while. Television was all brainwashing, etc., etc. The internet was a very powerful tool. The internet can give us what we want if we communicate, but we have to be very careful because the internet is also a big programming tool too. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of distractions out there. Like you're calling the controlled op yesterday, and yes, they are controlled op. Anybody that works against unity of bringing free speech, collective ideas together, and the major problem is this: the system they created is a lie. Yeah. The lawyers, the judges, the doctors, all of them have to be held accountable for murder.
Yeah, and this is what I find with the controlled ops. They usually promote another political party. If you're not calling out the system as the fraud, the system is what has enslaved us, then you're not speaking the truth. We're never going to solve the problem by working in the system.
Absolutely.
We've got to walk away and create our own system that's fair.
So what sort of system do you see being a good system created for the people? Because I think we've got a generation of youths, children now that are going to struggle so much.
At my early years, I thought about we could create a political party to restore law and order, restore responsibility, use direct democracy. But as I went through the ages, right after we had direct democracy in British Columbia, the nation of British Columbia, the corporation destroyed it, vetoed it, right? And that's when I started waking up. I was okay, so they own everything. And by now, most people should have a comprehension that the elections are fraud. I mean, even yesterday, I've been saying this from day one when Trump came out. I mean, Trump. I said, really? Are you fools? And then there's this new queen, this new king they found in Australia. I said, more psyop. Oh, we got this Russell Gould. I'm stealing the postmaster thing. More psyop. The fundamental facts are this. No one else is going to do this for you. And you're going to do it individually. And you're going to find other people around you that comprehend what you're trying to do, that agree with you. You don't want like-minded people. Like-minded people become cults, like religions, right? But you want inalienable rights, correct? Unalienable rights.
Yeah.
You want freedom. So you start at the local level. I'm not going to say this is going to be the easiest battle to win. The globalists are not going to stop. But when you get enough people educated at your local level, so your mayor, city council members, buy a lot of rope for them.
Yeah.
Buy some hemp.
Yeah.
Eventually, the tides are turning now. The tides are turning.
Yeah.
We're at 10 to 12% of the population, and it's starting to grow. So when you're out there speaking to people, you give them the facts. That's the most important thing, which you do, Laura, and your husband does the same thing. And the gentleman yesterday, you have to identify the enemy. Like Chris Sky's on like this. Chris Sky's Siracus Parasite, Bilderberg Group member, Parasite. He's on a tour going through your nation there, distract you.
Yeah, he came over here for a rally. Yeah.
Yeah, Susan Stanford that came from South Africa with Laura Tyler Thompson. They landed in British Columbia, landed in Vancouver, and they go on there. I'm fighting for your freedom. They don't tell you the truth. Hire Rocco Galati. He's a constitutional lawyer. And I said, well, how can Rocco Galati be a constitutional lawyer when Canada doesn't have a constitution? Going, what?
Yeah.
They're committing fraud. And then you got all these other idiots going, give me money for donations so I can go to court with the Bill of Rights. You're going to go into the jungle of the piranha pit, throwing hand grenades at you, and ask them to stop killing you. You have to be an idiot. You have to be an idiot, seriously. And I mean, I know a lot of people there at the beginning believed in the system, the justice system, right? But now, a lot of people now are going, there's no justice. You look at you look at the globalist convoy they created 2 years ago. The globalist convoy. The globalists created it. They wanted to get the Emergency Act, and they got the controlled opposition to put it out there. Yes, there was beautiful men and women out there supporting it. They went out there and to give their rally, right? But they don't have a solution. At every protest, every event, it's the same idiots educating the people of lies and deceit. Vote for me. I'm going to save you. By the way, can you pass me some ammunition so I can shoot you in the back after you vote for me? Yes, buy me more ammunition so I can shoot you in the back. The politicians, all liars. Then we got these people going, Bill of Rights, the charter, the corporation. Then we got common law. We got equity. There is no law. There is no justice in their system. You're going to have to create a system, obviously, of their system, and then bring back law and order. And a lot of people don't understand what I'm trying to say there. Here's how it is. The Creator created you. Perfect. He give you a mind. He give you lungs. He give you all the opportunities. You're your own boss. No one can tell you what to do. You have the right to protect your property, which is yourself, your body. You have the right to hunt, fish, and harvest your land, and manufacture and live. As soon as they say that they can't do that to you, that means they want a gunfight.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line. A lot of people, I believe myself personally, a lot of people think this is going to end peacefully. No, it's not. They're trying to kill us, trying to murder us. It's not going to end peacefully. The longer this goes on, the more of your loved ones will be murdered and killed and raped and pillaged. And that's what they want. This false flag with Ukraine. And we got idiots still running around going, the Trump. Trump was an executive order brought in to kill and murder the people in the United States.
Right. You're breaking a lot of people's hearts by saying that.
Well, I'm not here to break their hearts. I'm here to give them facts. Trump was the executive order. Every single president of the corporation of United States of America was selected and implemented. Every single prime minister in the Corporation of Canada was selected and put in place. Every single parasite in the United Kingdom, like Tony Blair, I met Tony Blair back in Desert Storm, that parasite. His speech and Harper's speech were the exact same speech as the parasite prime minister in Australia. Word for word.
Yeah, which brings us back to remedy. I believe the small governments are the only way that you have a say. The bigger the government gets, the less of a voice you have. And so now we're firmly entrenched in this new world order, and you're just a fleck of fly dew on the wall. Like you're not, you have absolutely no say, and we see what's going on, and it's very scary. And we're hearing about UN troops and that kind of thing, and coming to
what do you think about the UN troops? Because there's a lot of speculation. I mean, it's very hard. I've been on the fence. I've been trying to say I don't think they
we're not going to speculate that it's just rumors, but we see unusual activities that have happened in our area. So during the fires, which we had 100 or 200 fires just spring out of nowhere spontaneously. Has never happened before. We saw a change in protocol. It used to be all the farmers were equipped, and they rallied able-bodied men from surrounding areas to help put out the fires. In this case, we had roadblocks set up with I can't remember, Leadcore suddenly had policing abilities, a corporation here, and people were evacuated from their towns. And why were they even evacuated? Like, was there something they didn't want to see, which is what happened during the floods in Calgary and High River, where the police were going through and raiding the guns and that kind of thing out of High River. So here, during the fires, we had a military base set up just down the road from us with all kinds of helicopters, and clearly they had no firefighting equipment, and they weren't here for that. So why was there a military base? And then we have friends in the Shuswap, and they sent us a message saying, is that military base still there? It was large. It was probably $1 million worth of many $1 million worth of equipment and that kind of thing. And suddenly our military base left, and they had one, in their neighborhood. So why are we seeing a military response to something that is normally natural? Clearly it wasn't natural, but so that gives you pause. Like what is changing in our world that we're seeing the unusual, and we're seeing military camps going up in very small communities. Bear Creek is like 500 people. Why do we need a huge military presence?
They're testing the people to see how many people are stupid. They're testing people, like how many people put the masks on, how many people took the injection of poison, right? And I've always said this: the polio vaccination was created to create polio. During the 1980s, we had the AIDS epidemic, which was immune deficiency, which was the same thing as SARS, which was the same thing that came out in 2010. Was the H1N1, and I watched all these things, and I started looking at myself and going. I went to my own doctor. I see him once every time I break a bone or something. That's the one time I ever see him, right? And I asked him some questions. I said, all these pharmaceutical drugs, are they poison? And he says, yeah. That's what I thought. So you got the doctors. You got to understand the doctors. I love the psyop of the doctors. I mean, people are still going around. Doctor versus doctor. It's like wax on, wax off. Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Come on, these doctors are all the doctors are Jesuits or Masonic lodge members brought in by Standard Oilfield the Rothschilds. They own the entire, the schooling of these people. Only certain doctors are selected. and they get this big, you know, they get this big diploma, says they're a doctor, and it's like, you know, a priest is a great man too. Yeah, I know. Lots of priests out there should be right now arrested for raping and pillaging children.
Yeah, and during the COVID thing, the person that we had to listen to and daily giving reports was our chief medical officer, another military term, and we have the Surgeon General, and they were telling us, you know, it's ridiculous, you know, that you've got somebody that comes on your TV and tells you what you have to wear, what you can do, how you have to follow arrows in the store, and how you have to inject yourself with something untested, untried, with very sketchy ingredients that you know, you would never think to inject yourself with, and these are what suddenly is our new reality.
Yeah.
You know, it's right out of Orwell, but.
Well, George Orwell in '84 was a Mason and Lodge member too. They're just telling you the script, right?
No, he was a Fabian.
Fabian.
He and Huxley were both Fabians, which their motto is a wolf in sheep's clothing, which is what your barristers, they dress with the sheep's wig on their head, so they mimic the wolf in sheep's clothing. They tell you in, you know, very discreet, obvious ways.
So back to the remedy. So we have some great ideas that are being built in the republics, and republics are like Arizona, Nevada, and these are republics. We have some great ideas that are being built in some of the nations called BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, et cetera, and even Quebec too, right? So if you look at our videos, we have a website. Go look at it, constitutionconventions.ca. It was designed to teach people what Canada really is, how you're truly governed under a thing called Canada, and why we need to make steps. So we've drafted a new constitution, and it's only a draft. I mean, but it's a beautiful thing. It's actually going to give power to the people, and I love the word anarchy. I love the word anarchy. So anarchy, a lot of people are misled about anarchy. Anarchy means natural law. Your community is your community. Listen, what I do in my community, I want to do beautiful things, and I can't tell somebody in Newfoundland what to do. I don't live in Newfoundland. I can't tell somebody what to do in Turan, Manitoba. It's just nonsense, right? And these things are very powerful. In 1992, they implemented UN Agenda 2130, right? And so the mayors, city council members are all bought and paid for or compromised. Probably had sex with dogs or sheep, or who knows what the hell they got caught with. Who knows? But a lot of cocaine was going on. I heard that story. But so at the local level, you take control of your local level. They have no authority. You challenge them on their authority. And, you know, out here, and I know there's great people in Australia, in certain states, and there's amazing people that are working in the United Kingdom. We have team members in the United Kingdom. And I call them team members because we're on the same team. We want a future.
Yeah.
And you know, I watch all the psyops. People yell, walk the streets yelling freedom, 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 freedom. I'm going, holy cow, that's not going to help you. You got to stop, think. What's the problem? The system. Get organized and become what you're supposed to become. Intellectual, independent people. You are the government. There is no government. As soon as someone's trying to kill you and your kids and starve you, they're not working for you. So they're fired.
Yeah.
So it's time to fire them all.
How do you fire your government?
Well, like I said, I think Mexico's got some good ideas coming through right now. They're rising up at a rapid rate. They just take care of the business, right? I think they take them out and take them in the bush and give them to the alligators.
According to their own laws, we can't overthrow them, but we can create our own government. We can come together and create a government that we agree. A government should be agreed upon by the people. You know, it's a two-way street. And this is why we think we have to hire an administrator, and they sign a constitution with the people, the rules of what we abide and that kind of thing. And the minute that they break the constitution, there's an understanding that they're fired, and perhaps some kind of punishment, depending on how severe. Like, you know, did you kill anybody with a vaccine or something like that? Depending on how severe, there'll be a punishment decided by a grand jury, 12 of people,
of
of their peers.
Of the peers that have high integrity, that actually want to represent the people with respect and honor. And if they fail, they'll also be prosecuted. And a lot of people said to us we should put capital punishment in there. I said that's good. That depend on the judges that day and the family. If you rape a child, you rape my child, I'm going to put you down.
Absolutely.
No, I'm going to put you down. There'll be no ifs and buts. I'm going to put you down.
But you should have the right to do that. Sorry, I know this sounds really bad, but in my world, in my reality, if you are doing that and you're harming, especially the children or anyone really, but let's look at the children. You don't get to walk away again. You don't get a second chance to breathe.
No.
And well, I tell you what the crazy thing is, we've got these people that believe they can reform pedos. You can help them. You can do.
Well, here I'll give you a case.
There's a fellow by the name of John Uhler who's this is his specialty, and he works with inmates in the prison. And he said they're unreformable. There's absolutely no way they're damaged goods. But we're damaging our own children, because 8-year-old boys are exposed to pornography very easily on the internet, and so we're raising this generation of dysfunctional people, and this was the whole goal, of course. So I'm a real advocate for homeschooling, and it should always have been in the way it was, because you have no idea what goes on behind closed doors of what they're telling your children, and it's so easy to teach them to read and write. We all learned it. You all are your child's best teacher. You taught them to talk and walk and do all kinds of little things, and learning to read and write is just an extension of that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
most kids want to learn it. Most kids are excited because it's a code that suddenly gets broken for them, and they're excited to be able to
the problem we've got is money. See, a lot of people are driven because they've got all these debts, bills, mortgages, finances.
And it was the free babysitting. So one of the things is we have to rein in our expectations. Like, do you need 2 cars? Does everybody in the family need a cell phone? At one time we never had a phone. My mom grew up, there was no telephone. How did they survive in the country and all of that? But now everybody's got the cell phone. Now often kids have a TV in their bedrooms and stuff like that. So we're putting the emphasis of success on material goods rather than human experiences.
Yeah.
And at a certain point with my kids, you would have a birthday party, but there'd be no presents. No kids come in with a present. We're just going to have pizza. You're going to go out and toboggan and have fun and have a sleepover. That's it. And they liked it better because, they weren't saddled with all this plastic junk, and, it just always worked out better if the focus was on an experience.
So you're talking about building a constitution for a community, but equally you're saying that we don't have a constitution. But doesn't a constitution dictate law?
No.
Right.
No.
So what would be the difference?
The big difference is this: your constitution has to have certain aspects in it. First and foremost, each individual is his own individual. So if I live in a community and they want to build a swimming pool for the children, they come to me and say, "You want to help us pay for the swimming pool?" Nope, don't need one. We only have 14 kids in this town. Right? Why? Why spend millions of dollars on a swimming pool? Now, if we have a town that has 1,000 children, yes, we'll build a swimming pool for them. But as an individual, I have the right to say yes or no. I'm not forced into taxation. This taxation of the land has got to go. It's good. It's being right now in Alberta. It's coming to an end. I'll tell you that right now. The people are rising, and the people are going to restore law and order. We're not asking them either. We're telling them, and that's so powerful. These mayors and city council members all will be held accountable for murder. Anybody that went along with this UN Agenda 2130 from 1992 will be held accountable for murder. all these politicians will be held accountable for murder by us, the people, not their juries. Their juries, we're going to grab them and bring them to jury. All these judges, lawyers, bar turned, will be held accountable. And people say, well, how are you going to do that? Well,
I was going to say that.
we have no choice. They pushed us to a point where we're going to have to come together and restore law and order. And the Canadian forces and the RCMP, these police officers, we've given them options. They've had options now, and lots of them have left, knowing that the facts are that people are going to rise. The people in Canada, or the corporate in Canada, have 1 billion guns. 1 billion guns. Every person I know has 50 guns or 40 guns.
I'm moving to Canada.
And we're not going to take this. And our republics, I'm telling you, you think the boys in the United States are going to put up with this shit? They're not. We're waiting for a certain amount of people to get organized. And guess what? We're going to do this lawfully with a constitution of a contract. We're going to sign a contract to each other, to love and respect each other, to protect our personal property. You protect my property, I'll protect your property. My property is myself, the people I live with, my children, and your children, your property. I'm going to protect your children. All these psyops of the transgender, the school systems, stop paying for your enslavement. And your show yesterday was, how do you stop paying the mortgages? You know, that's going to be a tough one for a lot of people. But when you get people connected together, guess what?
Anything can happen.
Power. We're at 10. We're over 12% of the population now is starting to comprehend there's something wrong. 20 years ago, they didn't know what was going on, but now they're being connected. This Donald Trump parasite, globalist, Illuminati, mass murderer, executive order to kill everybody in the United States, and he goes, "I love you all. I'm trying to kill you," and they still walk around. It's like the Q thing. Don't question Q. Follow the plan. You know what the plan is? Keep following us over the cliff. And people are so stupid, they actually believe this shit. And you know how you can tell people are stupid?
Go on.
You ask them this question.
Go on.
Do you think we have a country called Canada? And they go, yeah.
No.
That tells you right there.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling. And anybody with any mind or any information would understand this very, very clearly. If they're trying to kill you, how can they be your government? So the people out there running around going, I'm against masks, I'm against vaccinations, I'm against this, I'm against this, I'm against this. These are all, everybody goes to these protests. And I said this 100 times. You go to a protest, and I keep saying this, it's like taking a grenade and throwing a grenade at the tank does nothing. Now, if you go to these protests and you sit down and communicate and start making plans, objectives, now what you did, you grab the grenade, you got on top of the tank, pull the lid up, and threw it into the Bilderberg group and slam the tank down. Now you've done some damage to them.
Yeah, going to a protest is sort of the beginning of your waking up stage. You've realized something is wrong, and you're going out to seek out like-minded people that are that you can start to get feedback. And it's a progressive thing. Even the people, when I started out in the protest movement, I'm affiliated with none of them now, but I went to the protests. I saw how useless they were. We protest Bill C-51, which was an anti-terrorist bill that was going to take away all of our rights, our right to the writ of habeas corpus and all of that kind of thing, and the right to spy on us, spy on our emails. And we got about 1,000 people out the first time, which was a lot. And then it just fizzled week by week. But that started you out, but then you had to research and go further down the rabbit hole. These people had no solution other than to walk up and down in front of City Hall on a Saturday when there was no traffic.
Well, here's the big one,
with
too.
A sign and chanting freedom, and this is what democracy looks like, and it's not what democracy.
Well, they also waved this thing. They got this thing that they call the Canadian flag, right? And I'm going, why would you raise a Canadian flag?
The corporate logo
of your enemy. The Canadian flag means you've been captured by a foreign corporation. It has no jurisdiction. What you must go out there and say, here's the United Nations flag. Wave the United Nations flags.
Yeah,
they can't comprehend that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Waving the Canadian flag is a great thing hang upside down, the nation's in distress or whatever. But it brings people together. They're fighting for nationalism or patriotism, and it brings people together. That's great. But at these events, every single event I've been to, it's always owned and controlled by the controlled opposition. They're pushing the Maxime Bernier in the Corporation of Canada. Maxime Bernier, oh, that's a great guy. He brought us into WAF, and he's going to save us now. He's saying it's all bad, but vote for him now. And I'm going, are you an idiot? We got this other guy, Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson was the implementation of implementation of Agenda 21.
Sustainable Development Goals.
I mean, he was raised in the United States, educated in the United States and Harvard as a Bilderberg Group member. It's like all these, anybody that gets on CTV News, Global News, National News, they're all there. The globalists do not put you on the news unless they want you on the news. Yeah. You got Kellyanne Farkas went on a showdown with Dr. Phil, was his name?
Yeah, Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. And I went, there you go, red flag. Then you got Alex Jones. Anybody that goes, everybody knows. Anybody that has any brain that knows Alex Jones is controlled opposition and David Icke. So here you got Alex Jones, you got Chris Sky going on there, you got all the other parasites.
Chris Sky was actually his replacement host for about a week. He was on his show, and then he heads the chair. Well, Alex Jones. So that just tells you that it's just one club of very privileged people that are selected and probably have some bloodline relation.
The other one's called Life is Essential. Some of this. So you got end the lockdown. So the people are walking down the street going, end the lockdown, end the lockdown, end the lockdown, end the lockdown. You might as well go back to your room, take a hammer, actually get a vise, and put your head in the vise and start cranking it yourself, because you're doing nothing. It's not about end the lockdown. It's about what is the fundamental problem we face in every single nation. The system is designed to kill us. The system is designed to enslave us. So stop being enslaved. And when people go, oh, I don't want to not pay my taxes because they're going to come and arrest me. Well, guess what? They're going to come and kill you. So keep paying for your enslavement and get killed. Keep financing the murderers. You're going to have to make a decision in your life.
Grow up and be responsible for yourself.
I mean,
on the head. Yeah.
There's more of us out there. And once we're united on a solution, then we win.
Absolutely.
So when you go to these protests, when you see Dingle Dong or Dingle Dork up there talking about getting a lawyer and going here and doing this and doing this. Here's a question for you. After 100 years of voting, has it worked?
No. So what you're saying is that literally, nearly, absolutely, who do you not think is controlled?
No, the people I work with aren't controlled.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So everybody leading and in the limelight is controlled in one way or another.
To you. So here's an example. They made me a bribe about 4 years ago, $20 million bribe, when I was on my tour. I've toured the Corporation of Canada many times, right? And I got some pretty good momentum. I was having, private meetings and barbecues and not sitting on the street with like a hooker sign, waving my flag, but cars go, honk, honk for freedom. Honk, honk for freedom means dick all. There's no communication. So I'd hold barbecues and sit down with 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, 500 people as my tours would go on. I had 18,000 people at one meeting, and they shut that right down. They arrested me, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was a real arrest, not like these fake arrests with Rebel News and Chris Sky, Ryan in the car part, and the fake landing of this fake preacher called Artur Pulaski over here in the Corporation of Canada. These are all controlled opposition.
Where he's arrested on the tarmac. You think about when you go to an international airport, are you at liberty to walk around willy-nilly on an airport tarmac? We just happened to have an airplane mechanic who was working there that day and saw it, and he said it was all Rebel News, light camera action. He thought
it was a movie set.
Yeah, it was a movie set for a false flag.
All the preachers in the world that during the lockdown, how come they didn't arrest? We had our church going up here. We have a thing called Cowboy Church every week, every Tuesday night. They didn't shut our church down.
Yeah, and the other thing is with Artur Pawlowski, this is another red flag, is his son is now going on a world tour, and he spoke before the European Union.
Yeah.
So, you know, this preacher's son is speaking before the European Union. You know, it's just another Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg is the prime control manufactured little 16-year-old puppet, which they do all the time, the little girl in braids going, you know, that they find on the street and give her a voice. And, you know, they're doing the same thing with Nathaniel Pawlowski. They're doing the same thing with Chris Sky. He's on a world tour now. And, you know, inevitably they'll be in the UN or something like that, have some government post or something like that. This is where
we watch them all, and I look for individuals. That's what I've been watching you for a couple of years and your stuff, and I went, okay, she's dynamite. I like her, and no, I like it. You know, it's even what do you call it? That what's the other Knobs or his name is there over in Europe?
Oh, Vobes.
Vobes. So Steve Vobes, whatever his name is.
Richard Vobes.
Richard Vobes. So yeah, so we were in contact with him, and he was doing some pretty good stuff there. He's bringing some ladies in there talking about, you know, natural law, this kind of stuff. But you got to be careful with natural law and the other law they want, no-he law.
Who?
Right? No-he.
Noahide law.
Noahide law.
Well, what is that?
That's the final goal of the United Nations.
The Noahide law. Yeah, you've got to research that. It's New World Order, the Noahide law.
Do you know what's involved in that?
I would have at one time, but you read so many things. I can look it up and send
Well,
it.
I'll tell you what it means. One religion, their religion.
Oh, right. Yes. That's the
Chrislam. Yeah. So the interesting thing about our Million Man March is they're very vocal that it's a combined effort of the Christians and the Muslims. And so,
and the Jews.
Well, they don't say that. All they say is the Muslims and the Christians. And so, you know, if you know this Chrislam law that they're bringing in, you wonder about that.
Well, that's
religions were designed by the globalists to distract and also to brainwash people, right? So you got.
Well, it creates an obedient society.
Yeah.
You know, you'll pay your way into heaven.
You know, years ago, the Catholic religion in Europe, you know, you couldn't go to heaven unless you donate all your property to the Vatican.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, and same thing over here in the Corporation of Canada. So you got the Mormons, the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, the Pentecostals. You got all Christianity. You got the Catholics. You got the Muslims. You got you name it. And I'm thinking to myself, if you guys all believe in a creator, supposedly God, that loves you, how come you guys all can't come together and say, yeah, we're not going to bring harm to each other? George Carlin did a great one on it, right? He got rid of the 10 commandments in about 15 seconds. He dropped it down to 2 commandments. And I took just 2 commandments and brought it down to 1 commandment. Bring no harm to others. The land belongs to you. There is no government. You have to find responsibility, and you have to face reality. You have a person trying to kill you, and you're being nice. You're being polite, because we as human beings, we have a nature to love each other, to protect each other. But we have parasites. I call them parasites.
Yep.
They're trying to kill us, and we're being polite. Well, they're murdering our children and our loved ones and our families, and they're doing this deliberately, intentionally. They killed a 21-year-old here about 7 weeks ago. I was just livid. So, you know, out here in the farmland, she couldn't go to do this H4 club. She needed to get an injection of poison. I didn't even know about it. If someone would have brought that up to my attention, I would have went down to the H4 club with a baseball bat and showed them exactly how it feels.
Yep.
Now, the father of that child, he wants vengeance. He wants justice. And I'm going to give him justice because I'm going to be right there to ensure that the person that injected that little girl with that fucking shot of poison will pay for what he done. And the doctor will pay for what he's done. You have to be retarded. Listen to me. We either have the most incompetent people in the world or the most corrupt people. And by the way, I'll say it right out. They're not incompetent. They're corrupt. The doctors are poisoning people with pharmaceutical poison. The AIDS epidemic was bullshit. The flu shots are poison. Your body, there is no virus. So when you get doctors going, there's a virus control, he's an idiot. No, he's not. He's controlled opposition. I hear these doctors going back and forth. I was in a meeting like 2 weeks ago with a bunch of doctors, and I told them exactly what they were: liars, comment, and frauds. And you're going to be held accountable. All these doctors are jumping ship now because they know the people are waking up. I wish they would have woke up 5 years ago. This is why I blame a lot of the controlled opposition like Laurel Tyler Thompson, Odessa, all these parasites, and Chris Guy, and Brad Kerrigan, Walk for Freedom. These people had the opportunity to tell the people the truth. And all these MPs that are jumping ship now, right? Going, well, we're going to do this, and I'm going to change it. And you can't change shit. You're already guilty of murder. Every single person that's been that supposedly got elected has been going on with this bullshit from day one. Every single one of them. Sustainable development, sustainable death sentence, diversity, death sentence. These words are programmed like global warming, climate change, blah, blah, blah. HARP weapons, do weapons. And by the way, they're poisoning your food. That should be a good indication that the gloves are off and we need to get a big baseball bat and batter up. You're not going to stop this being nice. And I'll tell you right now, we never decided this war. They created this war against us, the people, the individuals, our families, our loved ones. And no way in hell are the parasites going to stop until we stop them. We are hoping our message will reach our other brothers and sisters in Europe, everywhere, that we're here. We're going to fight the battle here. I can't fight the battle over there. We'll work with you over there, doing the same thing we're doing over here. If you got ideas, come forward with them. We know what we're going to do over here.
It's brilliant. You've got a absolutely brilliant.
Well, there's no choice. I mean, we don't want violence, and none of us want violence. But when they're shooting at you and trying to kill your children and your grandchildren, and you got these idiots like transgender, faggots, homosexuals, fine. I'm not against you. I've never, ever. I have friends that are faggots. And guess what? I play chess with them. I play tennis with them. What they do in their own bedroom is their own goddamn business. But when they bring that shit down there on our streets and bring it to our children, there's an agenda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our children, our grandchildren. Then we got teachers defending it. They're not teachers. All these people need to be locked up and put into a hospital, a psychiatric ward, so we can figure out if we can cure them for their disease of stupidity. And it's people get offended going, "You're stupid." When I was growing up, if you did stupid things, people go, "Oh, you're kind of stupid." Yeah, and you go, "Yeah, I'm kind of stupid. Yeah, I shouldn't have jumped off the bridge." Especially when there's ice in the water, right? It's like you do stupid things. It's stupid. It's like drinking and driving. That if you want to drink, yeah, drink. But if you want to drive, well, don't do it. It's called responsibility. I never drink and drive. And that's because I know better. I don't do it because the law says it. I just know that stupid. I wouldn't get on a plane and fly a helicopter drinking. So why would I allow my kids to be sent to a school that's going to teach them to be stupid? And that's the bottom line. And people don't like direct messages, but direct messages are the most powerful thing in the world. Oh, you hurt my feelings. I'm not here for feelings. I wrote a song many years ago called Banana Peelings. And the reason is this. It's right. And all your viewers of the United Kingdom, I'd like to say thank you for listening to me and whatever. Appreciate it. I hope you look at the website. The website was designed for you too.
Yeah.
I'll share it. You don't have a constitution. You're ruled by the same globalist parasites. There's only 800,000 of them. Okay? They got a little percentage of their enforcement class. We'll call them the yellow striped cowards. We call them in Canada. They call them RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Parasites. We call them yellow cowards. Then you got your enforcement officers. Then you get the bylaw officers. All these people do not have any authority over you. Do we want law? Yes, we do. So in our Constitution, we're bringing back what you always had.
Yep.
No one could tell you to have the right to bear arms. You have an unalienable right, not in a lie. Remember that one, in a lie? I tell you about that in a lie bullshit. Every constitution they created is called in a lie. Inalienable rights of IN, your rights can be removed by consent. Taxation by consent. Theft by consent. I've asked them straight out, where did the Queen Victoria or Queen Elizabeth, this parasite bitch, get her authority to govern me? Especially when I'm in a place called, we'll call it the Corporation of Canada right now, the landmass, we'll call it Canada. Where did she get the authority to create these governor generals, the lieutenant governors, without my authority? Me being as a First Nations original of the land with a treaty card, they call it status card. I want to know how they created a thing called the Indian Act. I want to know where there's a thing called the White Man Act. The White Man Act's called the BNA. The White Man Act in Europe is called the Magna Carta. It's just nonsense. They create a fictional paper and say this is the law. No, acts and statutes aren't laws. No law can go above natural law. Natural law supersedes all their fictional laws. Follow me? So common law, admiral law, civil law, maritime law, etc., 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 etc. I call them the sewer law.
Yeah. Sewers.
Sewers.
Yeah. So what natural law, to sum it up, is do no harm, cause no loss.
Yeah. So we you know, we've worked on it for quite a few years. And myself personally, I look at the originals that were on the land of the Corporation of Canada. So the Mohawk, all these different tribes, no different than the clans that were in Scotland and Ireland. And I mentioned this yesterday to you. Scotland was not Scotland. It had thousands of clans, thousands of tribes. You look at Ireland, had thousands of tribes. They all got along.
Right. Yeah.
But when the kings and queens came in, and the barons, or what I call the parasites, they created these fake wars. They stole the land from the people. Only 2% of the people living in Scotland are Scottish. You know, I hear about, all the nonsense. Don't get me wrong, it's not nonsense, but what's fundamentally a problem is you got the residential school system going on. It's a big psyop. The Orange 33 running around, it's our day because we got harmed, 100 years ago in the residential school system. Wow. How about all the children that were taken? 2 million children were taken from Ireland. We'll call it Ireland, but it was all the clans, and shipped over to Nova Scotia and shipped over to New York as slaves. The British children, hundreds of thousands were brought over.
When was that?
Huh?
When was that?
1776, all the way up, 1886, all the way up. Yeah, steady. The mass invasion of migrants was brought over because they stole the land from the farmers over in Europe, right? The kings and queens walked in, shut them all down. All the elderly, they burnt their houses down. The land belongs to the king. You all have to go. And the parents went, well, what do I do with my children? You have an opportunity. We'll send you off to the newfound land. The newfound land. That's it. And I'm not against immigration, but everybody's immigrating around the world to the Western nations because they want to destabilize the nations. It's all part of the plan. We bombed shit. Here's one for you. We've been bombing the shit out of Vietnam, Korea. We'll start there. We move forward, Grenada, all the way up, and then we went on a big mass murder of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Afghanistan. Even four-star General Wesley said the same thing. We're gonna take out 7 countries in 5 years. Why? How are we gonna do this? Don't worry about it. We're gonna do a false flag. We'll do the Twin Towers with a direct energy weapon. The people will just pump it out there. The Arabs did it, and Mossad did it, and blah blah blah. And the people were in a rage. It's sort of like World War I and World War II. False flag wars owned by the bankers.
Absolutely.
And we killed our own family. We killed our own family. The Germans weren't my enemies. The Russians were my enemies. The Soviet Union were my enemies. The Bolsheviks were my enemy at top level, right? But that's the problem. We have a society that they pit us against each other. And that's why it's so fundamental problem right now. If you don't speak truth, you don't speak facts, people will not comprehend the enemy that we're fighting. And the enemy we're fighting is vicious. And this enemy wants you and your children starving and dying. They want you sick. So when people, I'm going to vote, I'm going, are you an idiot? After 100 years of people trying to kill you. Now, we can have an election in our local community, transparent. And that person says, okay, I'm going to be your administrator. Yes, you're going to follow the rules of engagement. We're going to tell you what to do. If you don't do as we tell you, you'll be fired. If you commit fraud or any harm, then you go in front of a grand jury and you can be prosecuted, and it could be a penalty of death. Oh, really? Yep. If you harm people, you may be put down like the dog you are. Without accountability, you got nothing. Zero. This whole system is nuts. You look back at, Switzerland. When I was studying direct democracy, one of our videos is Every Canadian Must See. It's on our website with Dennis Shaw, Canadian Forces, and Richard Angus Argue, also Canadian Forces. They'll explain to you what Canada is in 27 minutes. You can watch the full hour video. We broke it down in 27 minutes because a lot of people don't have a lot of time to watch the video. But in 27 minutes, it actually applies to people in the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand. It applies to all the people. You are the government. And that's the biggest problem. People have to change their mindset to stop being a follower. It's like this, democracy, biggest scam ever made. You go to a restaurant, there's 6 of you, four order fish and 2 order chicken. Democracy means I'm getting fish. We're all getting fish.
Yeah.
It's a lie. Direct democracy is a way of people working together. I mean, you look at Switzerland, but Switzerland had a constitution that was formulated at the local cantons so they can control the mechanism at the local town. They're called cantons. So this one canton. So I'll give you an example. So you got 5 cities. We'll call them cantons. So you got Fernie, you got Roslyn, you got Trail, you got blah blah blah. What happened to Roslyn? They said no, we don't want that. Done. What happens over in Abbotsford? They say we want that. Fine, but they have to follow natural law, bring no harm. But if they start bringing harm to the people, then the other people from the other cantons can go over there and say, no, this is not going to happen. We're going to come over there with a baseball bat, straighten you out. People will learn once we get rid of the fiat cash system and this nonsense about cryptocurrencies and all this bullshit. The cryptocurrencies were created by the globalists. They're not there to save you. It's like it's like the Federal Reserve printing money out of thin air. The only true thing in history is this: labor-backed dollars are real. Building a chair, building a computer, building whatever, that's real. It's real. Food, like potatoes, that's real produce. That's actually worth value. Gold and silver have enslaved us for thousands of years. And by the way, if you look at the history of gold and silver, the Bilderberg Group were the parasites. During their wars of stealing all the gold from all the people. So the Soviet Union, during the World War I, they went and stole all the gold and shipped it off to their brothers in Switzerland and Sweden. Then people find it strange. The whole world's at war, but Sweden and Switzerland are neutral because Switzerland is part of the Bilderberg Group. They funnel all the money there. They put it all there. It's like Stalin, Hitler, Roosevelt, Churchill. These all were involved. They were working for the same team.
Yep.
It's like Ukraine right now. Are people dying? Oh, yes, they are. There's nothing I can do for somebody in Ukraine. The best thing I can do for some people in Ukraine is I got to stop ensuring that they take our tax dollars to build missiles to send them over there to kill these innocent women and children. We have to stop fighting their wars and start fighting the right war. We need to invest in each other, our communities. All these groups, like you got this Thugs in Mass with Vladimir Lenin there, Vlad there, running around the country, selling his shirts, making profit. over a shirt. Another guy's living in Florida.
Yeah.
I'm a big man of all donations. Every freedom group I see out there, they're full of grifters, full of scammers, and they don't speak the truth. You know, I looked at Tommy Robinson many years ago. I watched him over there in Europe. I went, oh, I hope the people in Europe figure out he's a scammer. And you guys did eventually. You know, he talked well. You know, he's promoted. It's like over here, we get the Pat Kings and all this bullshit. They promoted. The algorithm, if they don't want to happen, it won't be there.
Yeah.
But they get on CTV News or Global News or any mainstream media, the globalists want them there. And people can't see it. And it's just like, why? Here you're calling all the media fake, but now you get one patriot goes on there supposed to be a patriot. I call them fake-triots.
Yeah.
And people can't see it.
I know, it's very sad, isn't it?
Well, no, it's okay because, I mean, look what you did yesterday. That gentleman, was his name Mick yesterday?
Mick Chaves.
I liked him yesterday. I actually sat there and had a good laugh. I mean, he was a straight shooter, and that's what we need. We need straight shooters. So I want you to look at what we're doing over here.
Yeah.
And what we're doing in the Corporation of Canada, in each province, each territory, and what you guys are also doing over there. We're watching too. There is a momentum of truth and facts coming out now. And the most important thing is this: removing all your city mayors and city council members and all your school teachers and stop paying taxes for your enslavement. I know it's a hard thing to say that, but you're going to have to face reality. They're already wiping out the food. They're already charging you enormous amounts of money for gas, natural gas, fuel, etc. Every person in Alberta should be paying less than 3 cents a liter for gas. That's how rich we are.
Wow. And how much are you paying?
$1.80.
Yeah. Blimey.
But even our electricity, we have all this stuff. No, they went and built solar power. I mean, you're nuts.
That's money laundering. It's a way to money launder, isn't it? Solar power.
Well, yeah. I mean, solar power is worse than depleted uranium. It uses isotopes, right? So solar power is poisonous. The lithium batteries are worse than coal, but that's okay. You know.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, I don't know how cold it gets in Europe, but I'll tell you right now, it could be nasty in the Corporation of Canada. So it could go up to -40, -50. And I was in none of it. It was -60, -70s, right? That's negatives. Okay. So, boy, I'm hoping that solar power is going to work right now, especially when we got 47 feet of snow on top of our head. Seriously, you have to be.
I love it.
Well, you have to be an idiot.
It.
You know, I'm from the Kootenays. It snows like 2 feet to 4 feet per night. So in a good week, the snowbank is as high as Mount Everest. Okay, so you're going to be out there shoveling off your solar panels.
Oh my!
No,
that's fantastic.
Like I said, they're wiping people out deliberately, intentionally. There is no law. There's no justice. We have to restore law and justice. We're not asking. We have to do this. And as my European brothers and sisters over there, you have to come to reality that they're not going to stop until we kick them in the teeth. The bully's sitting there. You're going to have to punch the bully in the nose and give him a big bloody nose. And I'm not saying this to be disrespectful or to create violence. We never asked for this war. But
it came to us.
Our children and poisoned our children, when they injected people with a nanobioweapon, when they are destroying your economy, when they're telling you you have to wear a mask, who are these people? They're nothing. And if people go along with this, they're fools and idiots. And I'm feel sorry for them. So 800,000, the very top level, they got their enforcement class. We figured about maybe 3 to 4 million. Below that, you got your mayors and city council members that are all been bribed, bought off, doing cocaine, sleeping with, they probably got caught with sex toys. Who knows? They're all obligated. They're all compromised because nobody would go along with this insanity unless there's something driving them. And then maybe they are. They're just totally nuts. Maybe they like
narcissists. They are mostly narcissists and money and driven and power driven.
Yeah, but I mean, we have to do this. And that's the biggest thing. So, I would like to do more with you. I would like all you people in the United Kingdom to come over and see us too, discuss ideas. The war in front of us, like I keep saying this, it's very important. We need to get critical mass. And a lot of people ask me, what do we need for critical mass? 10% of the population is critical mass. Because 65% of them will still be sitting in their basements playing Nintendo. Yeah. Seriously. Seriously. These migrants they're bringing, this mass invasion of migrants, are all military men, not women and children. Military men. The United Nations soldiers, we all know they are. We're not stupid. But a lot of them also, our teams are talking to them privately, quietly, behind the scenes. They know exactly what's going on. It wasn't the Canadian people that bombed Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. It was the Canadian military complex, the American military complex, and the Great Britain military complex. And a lot of these soldiers that were involved in that, pilots and the military on the ground, they realize it was a false flag war now. So they're coming clean, and they feel embarrassed what they've done. They feel sick to their stomach.
Yeah.
That's why lots of them can't function in society now, because they're coming going, wow, I was supposed to protect the people. I was murdering women and children. That's a fact. Vietnam was the same way. Korea was the same way. Bosnia was the same way. They used us as pawns.
Yep.
All of us as individuals got to stop being pawns and start becoming leaders. Every one of you out there is a leader. It's your voice. It's your life. You take responsibility for your life. And I'm going to protect your life if you're honorable and have high integrity and you want to follow natural laws. I don't care if you believe in Jesus Christ or God or whatever. What I care about is this, that your ideologies aren't to harm others. And every religion I read harms others. Every religion. The Crusades, the Catholic religion, went on a mass murder kills hundreds of millions of people. Then you got the Bolshevik Jews, which the Taliban, which they exterminated. Numbers go from 30 to 60 to 100 million during the Bolshevik Revolution. Then we got World War I. We're fighting God's war. The Christians are going to fight this war against the evil empire of Hitler. So all of the people that lived in the United States and the Corporation of the United States and Canada went across sea to go help our brothers and sisters over in Europe to stop this evil empire.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Evil empire was your mayor, city council member, your judges. All these people are fiction. And we can continue this battle, figuring what we have to get accomplished. What's our solution? Well, the solution is this. Straightforward. The solution is you. You as an individual have to get up your ass. And if somebody says to you that you can't do it, stop saying can't. You have to do it. You have no choice but to do this. And that's the bottom line. If you don't get off your ass and fight for your right to live and protect your property, yourself, and your children, get your children out of school. Take responsibility. I know you got to eat. I know you got to live. But you have to understand two things too and comprehend the big picture here. You got to get your community. You start growing food. You put your money where it counts, your local community. You build your community up. And eventually, money will become obsolete. We'll look back in the years, thousands of years from now and go, oh, why would they want to enslave each other with money? The world is well, the world is great. We just got to get out of this fiction and actually see the real world that we have. Am I worried about direct energy weapons? Yes, I am. Dues? Yes, I am. HARP? Yes, I am. But these are only issues they create. As more people wake up to these understanding and comprehend what we have to get accomplished, I'm not going to say this is a battle to end all battles, but we have to stop this.
Yeah, because it's grown too big.
Yeah,
it's grown far too big. I just want to quickly talk about your website, constitutionalconventions.ca. I will put the link in the description because I'm going to update the description. Your website is...
We have a Rumble channel too, right? We have a Rumble channel. It's Constitution Convention.
Okay, I'll put that link in the heading as well. But I was looking at your website last night while we were talking, and it's absolutely brilliant. There is so much information. It's literally wow. You've done all this.
Well, I had some great people behind me too. I had Dennis Shaw before he was murdered. I had Terry Hand. I didn't learn all this stuff myself personally. They had information. I looked at the information, went through it. We found each other. Like-minded people find each other. You know, they come together, right? And you know, questioning their system, right? Questioning their authority, and looking at ways to change it so we can put the people back into power where they can protect their own personal properties. And that's where it started. And I, you know, as I go down the rabbit hole, I saw all the lies, deceit, and here we are now. Constitutional Conventions is not a group, an organization. Constitutional Conventions is a website to inform, to educate people how you're truly governed under a thing called Canada. It also teaches people how you're truly governed under a thing called United States. It also teaches how you're truly governed by a thing called England or United Kingdom, right? And when you start looking at the big picture, all the companies, Australia, Canada, United States, these companies, the companies, they all work for the same people. We need to turn that around, build our own company. So a contract. We even have, you know, the fact the United States doesn't have a constitution. That pisses off the Americans. You know why? Of course they got the right to bear arms. Do you? Do you? No, you don't. It's all myths. It's all bullshit. The Americans have been so deceived for so many years. The best way to keep a fool, a slave, is make him think he has rights, and they don't have rights. They, you know, everybody goes, I'm gonna go up to Florida during this mask mandate. Look at that parasite, the governor of Florida, mass murderer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Arizona, the same thing. California, the same thing. It's a few states out there that are fighting back, but it's still, unless people say the facts are there is no law, there is no constitution, and a constitution created 200 years ago is a dead copy. We as individuals have a right to have a contract between brothers and sisters and families, handshake, whatever, not to bring harm. And thirdly is this: how can someone tell you to pay taxes? That's called theft.
Absolutely. They've legalized it though, haven't they? I believe they've legalized it because they've created the legal world, which is a corporate world. So there is, like, I will put that, please guys have a look at this website. It is absolutely brilliant. There is so much information that you're just going to go, whoa. There's great videos here. I haven't had, you've got connect, and all this is also valid for the UK. All this information
100%. Yeah.
And you've got so many.
You don't have a king or queen. How can you have a king or queen? What? Where do these people come from?
Yeah, I've often said that.
You're all equal. The creator created you supposedly in his likeness. How come this one person gets all the authority and gets to enslave you? Well, that's wrong.
Do you know what's even more wrong? Is that people want these people to represent them because they believe that they are there to, you know, look after them and bring revenue.
Well, we need to have two societies. And two societies. Those who want to walk away from their system say, "Well, I'm done playing your book. I'm tired of playing in your piranha pit. I'm going to go over here and go swimming and build my own future." You're going to have to walk away. Are they going to try to stop you from walking away? Yes, they are. That should tell you right there you're not free. You have a right to free determination. You have the right to do anything you want to do as long as it doesn't bring harm. I'm trying to figure out where they own the land. I've asked them 100 times to show me. And I've asked them, they said that God gave them the land and the queen was given sovereignty by the God. And I said, I still can't find this invisible man. So bring him forward so I can see him. If you can't bring him forward, the contract's null and void.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. But look, we're going to have to end now. Yep. Hopefully we can do this again. I've really enjoyed listening to you, and I hope the viewers have too. I'm pretty sure from the comments that we've been having, a lot of people have enjoyed listening to you. And it'd be good to have you on again and maybe do a talk about something else, because I think you have an absolute library of things in your mind that you can discuss.
Well, most important is I need to hear from you. I need to hear from you as individuals. So when this video goes up, comment. I'll go through the comments. We need to connect, and we'll connect you with other people that we know in your own. It doesn't matter if you're in Australia, New Zealand. It doesn't matter where you're at. We have people over there we talk to. so we can get you connected with them. And the more connections you get, the stronger you're going to get. I did a video yesterday with New Zealand. You saw that video, that gentleman I said to you, beautiful video. So you're not alone and you're not wrong. And that's the most powerful thing in the world. Your rights are right. Nobody can tell you what to do. So you're not alone in this battle. And remember, one nation is going to rise and wipe these parasites out. And when we're finished wiping them out here, we're going to come over there and help you. At the same time, you don't stop fighting over there. There will be a reckoning. These people need to be held accountable for murder and everything else. Straight murder. And that's the bottom line. They're murderers. We got to do this. Well, thank you very much, Laura. And I hope Jay's there.
Thank you, Dallas and Wanda. Thank you as well. I know that we can't see you.
No, he's right in front of the camera. I'll just wave.
It'd be lovely to see you. Where are you, Wanda? Oh, she's hiding. There you are. It's really lovely. Hello. Thank you. It's lovely listening to you as well. You know, you're both absolutely amazing with your knowledge. And yeah, I'll what I'll do, yes, it's honestly, I love it. I love connecting with like-minded people that have the same vision, which is true freedom, not enslavement in all the corporate stuff, in all the, you know, you're right. Who told you that you had to do this and had to do that? And that's why I say we need to wake up and actually realize who we truly are. And the bottom line is no one can tell you what to do.
Yeah. The whole point is that you are your own savior. Don't go looking outside of yourself for, you know the truth in yourself, and you have to stand in your truth, speak your truth, walk your truth. And, you know, if enough of us come together, we'll change the world. Like it's simple, but complicated.
Yeah. I hope to do another chat with you soon. But you guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you. And thank you everyone that's joined us. Please share this live to get this message as far as we can with all the websites and links to this lovely couple's hard work, which you've been working on this for absolute years, haven't you? And yeah, so Wanda. Yeah, Wanda, Dallas, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon. Okay, and I'll put all the links in the heading.
We run a Zoom also. It's every day from 5 to 10.
What's your
a Zoom link, right? On our website, you go to Zoom there. Zoom's open from 5 to 10 every day. Pop in, introduce yourself, get connected. If you have ideas, I want to hear them.
Oh, really where have you gone? Right, so say that again, because you disappeared. Right, so you have an open Zoom link from 5 to 10, 5 p.m. your time.
Yes.
To 10 our time, which you are 7 hours behind, aren't you?
So we have people coming from Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom. They come in at nighttime, whatever. Some talk nonsense, some talk some good stuff, but it's still communication. And the most important thing is this: we really want to hear what your plans are, what your ideas are, what you're working on. I know a lot of people are fighting them in the courts, going equity this way, this way, this way, this way. These are all building the same message, but eventually they got to get to the truth. And the truth is, there is no law under their system. We have to create law and order. We have to restore justice. And the more people that talk the same language, the more people become resonated. So it's open from 5 to 10 each day. And we have other Zoom rooms in Australia and New Zealand too. We have links to those people there, their groups. We're all fighting this.
Which the 10 is closing time is loose. That you know, it went on till 3 in the morning.
Sometimes the Australian groups come in and the room stays up all night. Right?
Right.
It goes 24 hours a day sometimes. It depends who's in the room, if they're available, right? It's all by volunteer. No one gets paid. And stop donating your money to useless causes.
Yeah.
Put your money where it counts. Your community, your family, build greenhouses. These are most powerful things. Food, resources, and buy lots of ammunition.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I'll put all the links on the heading, okay? Much love. Bye for now.
Bye.